color from the Radio What Studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, August 4th, 2020. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, Trump criticizes Birx for warning of coronavirus new phase. President Trump on Monday tweeted criticism of Dr. Deborah Birx, who is coordinating the White House's coronavirus response, saying she, quote, took the bait and hit us. Pathetic, end quote. After Birx responding to criticism from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat California, warned of a, quote, new phase, end quote, of widespread coronavirus. Trump said at a Monday evening White House news conference that he had spoken to Birx and told her the United States was, quote, doing very well, end quote, fighting COVID-19. Top U.S. infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci on Monday backed up Birx's warning. Quote, the reason why Birx is saying it's a new phase is because throughout the country, when you have community spread, it's much more difficult to get your arms around that and contain, end quote, Fauci said. This is according to USA Today and the Washington Post. Number 2, Hurricane Isaias makes landfall in North Carolina. Isaias regained hurricane status on Monday as it headed up the South Carolina coast on its way to landfall in southern North Carolina early Tuesday. Isaias was downgraded again to a tropical storm after coming ashore. It brought along winds and heavy rain, but threatened to do the most damage with its storm surge, said National Weather Service meteorologist Tim Armstrong in Wilmington, North Carolina. By late Monday, Isaiah's 9.9-foot tide was the third highest on record in the area, surpassed only by Hurricane Hugo in 1989 and Hurricane Matthew in 2016. Isaias was the first named hurricane of the Atlantic season, was first forecast to continue north and bring tropical storm conditions to the mid-Atlantic coast and the Northeast. Many in Charleston chose to stay home through the strong winds and heavy rains rather than evacuate and risk exposure to COVID-19, which many perceived as the bigger threat. This is according to the Post and Courier and the National Hurricane Center. Number 3, lawmakers, White House continue talks on coronavirus relief. Congressional Democrats and White House negotiators said Monday they were making progress toward an agreement on a new round of coronavirus relief. Quote, there are a lot of issues that are still outstanding, end quote. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat New York, said, quote, but I think there is a desire to get something done as soon as we can, end quote. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin, who along with White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows met with leading Democrats on Capitol Hill, said there had been a, quote, a little bit of progress, end quote, on Monday. House Democrats passed a $3 trillion plan, but Senate Republicans are proposing a $1 trillion package. Meadows rejected the idea of a bigger plan, and White House advisor Kellyanne Conway said Trump, quote, is always considering executive action in the absence of congressional leadership, end quote. This is according to Reuters. Number 4, filing suggests DA investigating Trump for possible fraud. Manhattan District Attorney Cy Fances office suggested in a court filing Monday that it is investigating President Trump and his company, the Trump Organization, for possible bank and insurance fraud. The filing was made in response to a lawsuit by Trump's attorneys, who have argued prosecutors were acting in, quote, bad faith, end quote, by issuing a, quote, wildly overbroad, end quote, subpoena seeking Trump's personal and corporate tax returns from Trump's accountants. In the filing, prosecutors argued the subpoena wasn't too broad, since that notion is based on the, quote, false premise, end quote, that the inquiry is limited to, quote, hush money, end quote, payments made by the president's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, in 2016. The filing claimed, quote, there were public allegations of possible criminal activity, end quote, at the company, quote, dating back over a decade, end quote. This is according to the New York Times. Number 5, Trump repeats TikTok ban threat, sets deadline for Microsoft deal. President Trump on Monday doubled down on his threat to ban TikTok, but said he would accept an acquisition of the Chinese social media app by Microsoft, provided it happened quickly. Analysts believe his threats are a negotiation tactic to force TikTok's Chinese parent company, ByteDance, to fully divest its U.S. operations. Quote, I don't mind, end quote, if a large American company buys TikTok, Trump said. Quote, it'll close down on September 15th unless Microsoft or somebody else is able to buy it and work out a deal, end quote. Microsoft has confirmed it is having ongoing talks with ByteDance about a deal. The Trump administration has scrutinized TikTok lately because of its concerns that ByteDance is providing American users' data to the Chinese government. This is according to Bloomberg. Number 6, Obama unveils first round of 2020 endorsements. Former President Barack Obama released his first batch of 2020 endorsements on Monday, backing 118 candidates in 17 states to help Democrats hold on to a House majority and regain control of the Senate. Obama also announced his support for Democrats running for state legislature in Texas, hoping to help them win a majority ahead of 2020 redistricting. Quote, our country's future hangs on this election, end quote, Obama said in a statement. The former president has made it a priority to back candidates whom the National Democratic Redistricting Committee has labeled key to the redistricting process. Obama avoided endorsements in key Senate races in Republican states, like Texas and Kentucky, where his support is less useful. In races at the national level, Obama endorsed 52 Democratic House candidates and 5 for the Senate in battleground states. This is according to the New York Times. Number 7, Trump threatens legal actions to block Nevada's mail-in voting expansion. President Trump on Monday said he had the power to block out mail-in voting, although he stopped short of saying he would do so. Quote, I have the right to do it, he said. Quote, I have the right to do it, end quote, he said, contradicting lawmakers from both parties. Quote, we haven't got there yet, but we'll see what happens, end quote. Trump was expressing displeasure with Nevada state lawmakers for voting to automatically send mail-in ballots to all voters. Trump, who in April said mail-in voting, quote, doesn't work out well for Republicans, end quote, claimed on Twitter Monday morning that the lawmakers conducted an, quote, illegal late-night coup, end quote. Trump said he plans to have a lawsuit blocking the Nevada bill filed on Tuesday. Experts say voter fraud is rare, especially when there are proper safety measures in place. This is according to Politico. Number 8, Republicans worry Trump mail-in voting criticism will hurt GOP turnout. President Trump unsupported attacks against mail-in voting as, quote, rigged, end quote, and, quote, fraudulent, end quote, are discouraging his supporters from planning to cast ballots this way, threatening Republican turnout around the country. The Washington Post reported Monday, citing polls and Republican leaders. Several surveys have shown that Republicans are far less likely than Democrats to trust mail-in voting, a practice that is expected to be critical in November as the states continue to limit public events due to the risk of coronavirus exposure. Republicans in numerous states are reaching out to their voters to assure them that mail-in voting is safe and secure. Quote, "It is a problem," end quote, said one Republican strategist in North Carolina. Quote, the president has oversimplified the issue to criticize the method of voting rather than the way it's done. The details matter, end quote. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 9, Census Bureau moves up end of count. The Census Bureau confirmed Monday that it's ending counting efforts for the 2020 census a month early on September 30th. The decision affects everything from door-to-door to online, phone, and mail-in collection of census forms. The move is part of a push to, quote, accelerate the completion of data collection and apportionment counts by our statutory deadline of December 31st, 2020, as required by law and directed by the Secretary of Commerce, end quote, which oversees the Bureau. Director Stephen Dillingham said in a statement posted on the Bureau's website. About 4 households out of 10 nationwide have yet to be counted. Democrats in Congress have expressed concerns that the White House is pushing for stopping the count early to benefit Republicans when House seats are reapportioned and voting districts are redrawn. This is according to NPR. Number 10, former Spanish King Juan Carlos leaves country amid investigation. Spain's former king, Juan Carlos, has left his home country and gone to the Dominican Republic as Spanish and Swiss prosecutors investigate bribery allegations involving a high-speed rail contract. Juan Carlos decided to move out of Spain to help his son, Felipe, rule without distraction, according to a palace statement. King Felipe expressed, quote, heartfelt respect and gratitude, end quote, for his father's decision, and he emphasized the, quote, historical importance, end quote, of his father's legacy. Juan Carlos, 82, is widely credited with helping to lead Spain to democracy after Francisco Franco's long dictatorship. The former king's public image has been tainted in recent years by financial scandal, and he abdicated in 2014. This is according to CNN and Reuters. That's 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, August 4th, 2020. Thank you so much for listening. This has been What Makes You Smarter. And thank you very much for putting up with me as I stumble through the reading of this week's news. And I always put at the bottom the sources so you can look a little further. I always want you to have all the information. So make sure that whatever I say, you look into it yourself and find out that I'm saying the right thing. And if there's any criticisms, any comments, any concerns, please feel free. Email info@radiowhat.com, or you can call me 501-470-6386. Leave a voicemail if I don't answer. Hey, your voice might end up on a future What Makes You Smarter, or a KeysDAN show for that matter. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, you could use that same phone number to call me or email me, and I can set up a time with you, and we can get on the What Makes You Famous podcast. Hashtag What Makes You Famous. Oh yeah, this week's shows. I guess I forgot to do that at the top. Make sure you join me on Friday night at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas at 8 p.m. That's a video dance party, karaoke jam. They got a full bar, kitchen, pool tournament going on. So there's always something to do at the Rab on Friday night while you're waiting to sing a song right next to me on the stage. Of course, we're providing a lot of, hand sanitizer, and I have wipes for the microphones. So after everybody sings, I will wipe down your microphones. Make sure that we do it as safely and properly as we can. Also, wear a mask on the way in and while you're walking around. Now, while you're seated having your drinky drinks and having some food, you can take the mask down so you can get to your mouth. But while you're walking around, wear a mask. Let's protect each other. And on Saturday night, I'll be over at the Choctaw VFW. Yeah, Choctaw, Arkansas. That's a big room, and they have a big stage, full bar, pool tables. Hey, if all else fails and you don't feel like singing songs, they got a whole bingo hall there. So B19, under the B, 19. I don't even know if that's a number that's under the B. I haven't called bingo in so long. All right, party people. Well, that's it for this edition of What Makes You Smarter. I've been trying to do these every day. I've been doing them live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Twitch.KeysDAN. Twitch.tv/KeysDAN. Although I do want to build up my YouTube following a little bit. So please head over to youtube.com/user/KeysDAN. Or just look up radiowhat.com. I'm sure you'll find it. It's out there. I have 3 different YouTube accounts, but the one that says radiowhat.com on the top, that's the one to look for. So put a subscribe on there, put a like on there. And if you find me on any of the other podcasts, if just listening to the audio version, like, subscribe, put out a 5-star review. I want nothing less than 5 stars. If you think it's less than 5 stars, keep that opinion to yourself. All right, you can text me. I'm okay with criticism. Just don't hurt my star rating. All right, party people. That's it for me. It's What Makes You Smarter. KeysDAN, radiowhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.